What it do, guys? Manjoume here, and today we're going to check out the DC deck building game Crisis Collection 2, which includes Crisis Expansion Pack 3 and Crisis Expansion Pack 4. Now, the best thing about this is that standalone, these were both worth over $100 each, meaning to get both, you would be spending at least $200 plus. In many cases, it might have been closer to $300 or $400 to get them both. Now, the cooler thing is that this version, I believe, if the Crisis Collection 1 is to be compared, I do believe that the oversized character cards will be foil, which is already a lot cooler, and will include some extra ones as well. Now, let's get the packaging off so we can take a better look at the box. Now, while I do always appreciate a really nice box, this thing is going to go into my multiverse box anyway, so as nice as this is, it's not going to mean too much to me. But the cover of this thing, the cover is basically the cover of the two expansion packs scaled into these rectangles and just placed right next to each other, very akin to the first collection. Now, for people who don't know what a Crisis expansion is, it's basically a core or a base set, such as Forever Evil or the Teen Titan core set. And this is adding new characters, a crisis mode, and other main deck cards. And it expands upon it. So it's like an addition or an expansion just to that set of cards or story that happens. Now, looking at the side, not too much to be gained, but it does what it needs to do. Now, the back is where we have quite a bit going on. DC Deck Building Game Crisis Collection Number 2. Contents: 116 game cards, 28 character cards that are foil, best part, 1 token sheet, 1 divider, and 2 rulebooks. Now, the token sheet may be in reference to Forever Evil, where you gained points, little point tokens, could be that. And it's all about teamwork. Crisis Collection 2 brings together the 3rd and 4th Crisis expansion packs, which expand any DC deck building game base set with cooperative gameplay and a ton of new cards. You'll have to take on Crisis Event and Impossible Mode supervillains that will put your team to the test. Crisis Collection collects Crisis Expansion 3 and 4. Adds cooperative play to any DC deck building game set, and that's kind of what I already said. New mechanics, Unity ongoing cards, personal crises, hidden objective mode, 28 crisis cards for players to overcome, 28 foil oversized characters, 28 impossible mode supervillains, 59 new hero villains equipment, superpower, location, and hidden objective cards. Specifically here, we get a Red X promo card and in the first printing, Project Thumatum promo card. This is not a standalone set. You do need one of the aforementioned base sets to play this. So, yeah, of course, this is a Cerebus Engine Heroes version. As long as it's a Heroes set, it is fully compatible. Now, we have the booklets, which this one got a little folded in transit, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it is what it is, to be fair. And as long as I'm able to read what I need, and some of these may have solo mode erratas, main deck cards, some clarifications. Yeah, everything's still perfectly legible. I'm not going to make a big deal about that. And yeah, same thing for the Teen Titans set. Although I don't see any specific solo mode variation specifications, which is probably a good thing. And just like I thought, we do have the tokens that were specifically made for the villain set. So, cool thing, you have 5s, a 10, and a bunch of 1s. The 1s you'll definitely need, especially for any Forever Evil set, or even using the, what was that, crossover 5, I think. Whichever one had the rogues. That one also dealt with victory points when you first bought a card. So the cards themselves, usually not worth anything, but when you first buy them, hey, gain a VP. Or when you forced into, whenever you did like a teamwork, your opponent would gain a victory point. Now, the thing here we see is a divider card for your collection. Now, the thing that's important to remember, now in this pack, we only get a divider for the Crisis expansion number 4. That's because the first Kickstarter and the Multiverse box came with one for number 3. So I already have that, and that's stashed away in a box kind of far away. So it's cool that it finally included this. Taking a look at all these new, for the most part, the Crisis characters that you'll see will be Crisis versions of heroes or villains that were in the original set. So there was a Sinestro, I believe, and this one is the Crisis version, and the foil is a little more subtle on this one. You can kind of see it, I think. Kind of, yeah. Sinestro, supervillain. Each time you avoid an attack, gain 1 VP. Pay 2 VP. Choose an attacked player. That player avoids that attack. Good and Crisis versions of characters are really good at working together. That's why he's able to use his VPs to protect his teammates. Crisis Bane. Bane might have been a promo before, but he really fit the best within other villains. Each time you destroy a card with a cost of 1 or greater, a player, including yourself, owns, you may place it under this card. These cards may be used to beat Crisis cards. That actually seems pretty good. Get rid of cards and possibly be able to use them for later. Crisis Deathstroke. Each time you contribute to a crisis, gain 1 victory point. Pay 3 victory points, destroy a card in any player's discard pile. That's not bad. You are giving up victory points to do so, but it's not bad. Crisis Bizarro. Each time you attack a player, that player draws a card. I get it. I don't know if that's any good, but I get it. Crisis Harley Quinn. Once during each player's turn, you may pay 1 VP. If you do, pass a card from your hand to that player's hand. That can be very useful, and I feel like there's been other Harley cards that do something very similar to that. Crisis Lex Luthor. Pay 6 victory points, place a random Crisis superhero or Crisis supervillain from outside the game into play in front of you for the rest of the game. So he basically calls forth more of them, which is pretty interesting. Ooh, I like this one. Crisis Black Manta. Once during each of your turns, you may pay 2 victory points. If you do, put a card from the destroyed pile on the bottom of the main deck. So this also helps the game from ending with a deck out. So that's pretty cool. Next, we have Crisis Black Adam. Each time you destroy a card, including villains in the lineup, choose a player. That player gains 1 victory point. Oh, here's a new one. Captain Boomerang. Good old Boomer. Boomer is probably the best character in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. At the start of each of your turns, you may put the lowest victory point value card in your discard pile into your hand. Asterisk means 3. So could be like nothing, honestly, but it could be interesting once you destroy some more pointless stuff. Ooh, next we have King Shark. I see kind of a theme here because we have members of the Suicide Squad. At the start of each of your turns, if you have 3 or fewer victory points, gain 1 victory point. Pay 3 victory points plus 1 power. You're not going to try to win with victory points, but you're trying to like really get some big turns in. So I like that. Cheetah. Going the other way on that one. At the end of each of your turns, if you bought or gained 2 or more cards during your turn, you may destroy a card in your discard pile or draw an extra card. Killer Frost. Once during each of your turns, you may pay 1 victory point or discard a card with a cost of 1 or greater. If you do, play a card in the lineup with a cost 4 or less, then destroy it. Deadshot. Once during each of your turns, if a player discards 1 or more cards, you may put a card with a cost 5 or less from your discard pile on top of your deck. I think aside from the fact that Harley was in the original set, I think that completes the Suicide Squad, or at least a variation of it. Speaking of Harley, a relation to her would be Poison Ivy. The first time you play an ongoing card or a non-kick superpower during each of your turns, reveal the top card of your deck. Leave it, discard it, or pass it to another player's discard pile, which is almost Harley-esque in some of what it does, but it seems with the ongoing card effect can also play into, what is that? That other, that one set that has rotating cards. Was that Crisis? Not Crisis. Crossover 6, maybe? I'm not quite sure. But the passing the card thing is very Harley-esque, so you could see where she got her inspiration for that. As for a favorite, I just love the artwork on that Black Manta, so I might just say that, even though I don't necessarily find it to be my favorite. No, you know what? I'm gonna say the Lex Luthor just because he calls upon other cards, which I think can be very interesting, and you can end up being very OP, but you do have to get a lot of EP to even get to that point. But in terms of artwork, it's gonna be Black Manta because that looks so cool. Moving on to Crisis 4 character cards, we have Crisis Beast Boy. Once during each of your turns, you may pass a card in your hand to a foe's hand, and if you do, that player passes a card from their hand with a cost less than or equal to your card's cost to your hand. Can they just give you the exact same card, I wonder? I mean, it says less than, so they could give you something worse. Ooh, Crisis Blue Beetle. When a player is attacked, you may discard 2 ongoing cards you control, and if you do, that player avoids the attack. Crisis Kid Flash. The second time you buy or gain a card during each of your turns, you may pass it to a foe's discard pile, and if you do, draw an extra card at the end of your turn. Crisis Raven. That's pretty cute artwork. Each time you contribute to a crisis, you may put a card from the destroy pile on the bottom of the main deck. Wasn't there another card that did that? But yeah, that's pretty cool. Crisis Red Robin. Once during each of your turns, if you control 2 or more heroes, choose a player. That player may put an equipment from their discard pile on top of their deck. Crisis Starfire. Once during each of your turns, if you control 4 or more different card types, choose a player. That player may destroy a card in their hand. Crisis Superboy. Once during each of your turns, if you control 2 or more different superpowers, choose a player. That player draws a card. Crisis Wonder Girl. Once during each of your turns, if you control 2 or more different equipment, choose a player. That player may discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. That's actually pretty good. Then for the new characters, we have Arsenal. First time you buy or gain a card from the lineup with the lowest cost among cards in the lineup during each of your turns, you may destroy a card in your discard pile. Really good for getting rid of opening cards. Donna Troy. You pay 1 less to buy defense cards. Each time you avoid an attack, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Ooh, another Nightwing. Pretty neat. The other Nightwing had the red costume, or black and red. This one has my more favorite, blue and black. Once during each of your turns, if you control 3 or more non-starter cards that share a card type, so cards that are share a type, +1 power and draw a card. I mean, that's pretty good. Very specific, though. Oh, Omen. Didn't expect to see her. Each time you discard an ongoing card you control from play, you may put it at the bottom of your deck. So, the more likely that you'll see it again sooner. And you might have a turn where it's like, all right, I'm going to play like 4 different ongoing cards and pass. Next, we have Tempest. Each time you play an ongoing card, you may put a card with a cost of 5 or less from your discard pile on top of your deck. Then we have The Flash. Once during each of your turns, you may add the top card of the main deck to the lineup. You pay 1 less to buy that card this turn. That can make something extremely expensive a lot cheaper. Man, I really like Tempest's artwork, Nightwing's artwork, but I think Arsenal might be my favorite among what we see, even though he isn't necessarily my favorite character among what we see. Don't come out as easy as it could have. Let's take a look at the Crisis 3 cards and get that out of there. A city destroyed, Crisis. Abandon all hope. Exposed. Hunted by the crime syndicate. Lost in Time, Murder Machine, Permanent Eclipse, Powerless, Psychic Static, Releasing the Prisoners, The Justice League is Dead, The Penalty is Death, Trinity War, This World is Ours, Villains in Control. Then we have, I think the personal crisis. Oh, Hidden Objectives, which have a little folder on the back, which I think is kind of neat. And some of them have, okay, different like artwork in the background. So like they're written on that yellow lined paper and has the little flip tab, they kind of had an ear so you can go between pages. A Friend in Need, Break the Code. So it feels like this is actually pretty similar to Crisis. I keep thinking. Some of these objectives seem very close to the Watchmen set, and I'm sure that's not a coincidence. I'm sure they kind of took inspiration from that to create these, which is pretty cool. Collector, Heroes and Their Toys, Solo Mission, The Best Defense, Traitor, Well Focused, Winner Among Thieves. So that's pretty cool. Now for the main deck cards, we have Portal to Nowhere, Sniper Rifle, Tarot Cards, Boomerang, Madame Xanadu, Black Orchid, Nightmare Nurse, Frankenstein, Nanda Parbat, Level 7, Savagery, Cat-like Reflexes, Chlorokinesis, Iced Over, Black Mask, Shadow Thief, Copperhead, Joker's Daughter. Now for the Impossible Mode supervillains, we have the Outsider. Each time a foe plays a card with a cost of 6 or greater, you may reveal this card from your hand, and if you do, draw a card. Pretty neat. Stack Ongoing. Players cannot destroy starter cards, so you have to get rid of him probably first. Actually, it doesn't say that he starts on the top, so whenever he comes up, you have to make sure he's gone or just not present before you can destroy your starter card, so that can be kind of annoying. Atomica, so like the atom but a female, I guess. Gain all cards with a cost of 4 or less from the lineup. Stack Ongoing. Players cannot play cards with a cost 5 or greater. That's crazy. First appearance attack. Each player discards all cards with a cost of 5 or greater. Death Storm. Destroy any number of cards in your hand, +2 power, and gain 1 victory point for each card destroyed this way. Stack Ongoing. At the start of your turn, destroy the lowest cost card in your hand. First appearance attack. Each player discards all cards with the lowest cost in their hand, which could just be zeros, starter cards. It might not be that bad. Johnny Quick. Draw 3 cards. Stack Ongoing. Players cannot draw cards during their turns. First appearance attack. Each player discards 2 random cards. Grid. Each time a foe plays a villain, you may reveal this card from your hand, and if you do, draw a card. First appearance attack. Each player reveals and gains the top card of the main deck. Discard a number of cards equal to the cost of the cards you gain this way. Nick Necro. Reveal the top 2 cards of the main deck. Gain 1 and put 1 in your hand. Reveal the top 2 cards of the main deck. Gain 1 and put it into your hand. Destroy the other and gain victory points equal to its VP value. First appearance attack. Each player gains a top card of the main deck. Lose victory points equal to the cost of the card you gain this way. I mean, at least you get something out of it. Ooh, the Sea King. Ongoing, +1 power, and you may put any cards you buy or gain during your turn on top of your deck. First appearance attack. Each player reveals and discards cards from the top of their deck until they have discarded a starter. If your deck runs out that way, stop and gain 3 weakness cards. That's going to be rough. Ooh, Blight. Attack. Each foe destroys a card with a cost of 1 or greater from their discard pile. Gain victory points equal to the total VP value of cards destroyed this way. First appearance attack. Each player destroys the top card of their deck. If it is cost 5 or greater, repeat the process. If it costs 0, discard a random card. Felix Faust, plus 5 power. First appearance attack. Each player passes the highest cost card in their hand to the discard pile of the player on their left. Gain a number of weakness cards equal to the VP value of the card you receive this way. Power Ring. You may gain up to 2 random heroes from the destroyed pile and put them in your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys the highest cost hero from their hand and discard pile. Owlman. You may gain up to 2 random equipment from the destroyed pile and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys the highest cost equipment in their hand and discard pile. Superwoman. You may gain up to 2 random villains from the destroyed pile and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player discards all villain cards from their hand. If you discard 1 or fewer cards this way, gain 2 weakness cards. Okay, we're not even done. Okay. We have Ultraman. You may gain up to 2 superpowers from the destroyed pile and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 4 power. First appearance attack. Each player puts 1 card of each type from their hand or discard pile to the bottom of their deck. For each card placed this way, gain a weakness. Then last but not least, we have Crisis Mazah? Oh, it's Shazam, but backwards. Stack ongoing. At the start of your turn, discard a random card from your hand. Mazah's costs 1 more to defeat this turn for each card of that type in the lineup and destroyed pile. You may buy cards in the destroyed pile with a cost of 1 or greater. That's interesting, at the very least. It's really cool to see the dark versions of the Justice League represented here, and then just some normal bad guys, I guess. So the Crisis 4 main deck cards, we have Ancient Map. Oh, 2 of those. Biometric Exosuit. It's a Unity card, so that's the new mechanic, I believe it said. And it has a U on the side, so it's easier to keep track of. Water Bearer, so that's Aqualad. Okay, so there's 3 of those. Birthday Cake, I wonder who that really goes for. Birthday Cake. Damian Wayne. It's a cool card. Donna Troy. Omen, another Unity card. Wally West, Unity. Infinity Island, so location. Titans Together, Unity card, that makes sense. Vigilant Guard. Oh, a few of them. Warm Embrace. Blank. Oh, and what you know, it's cost 1, it's a Unity card, and it's ongoing with nothing else. It is, in fact, Blank. And there's 2 of them. Mara Al Ghul. Interesting. And very powerful. It's a 7. Night Storm. There's multiples of those. Oh, wow. 3 of them. Plague. Stone. Which wasn't Stone like the undercover version of Cyborg? Oh, and then going right to the supervillains. In this impossible mode, we have Blackfire. You may gain each superpower in the lineup and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys a superpower they control and in their hand. For each you cannot gain a weakness. Brother Blood. Plus 3 power and plus 1 additional power for each villain in the lineup. First appearance attack. Each player reveals the top 3 cards of their deck. Pass 1 to the discard pile to the player on your left and destroy the rest. Ooh, Cheshire. You may gain up to 3 cards with a cost of 3 or less from the lineup and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys a card with a cost of 1, 2, or 3 they control and in their hand. For each you cannot gain a weakness. The Clock King. You may gain each equipment in the lineup and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, plus 3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys an equipment they control and in their hand. For each you cannot gain a weakness. A lot of these are very samey, but for different types of cards. Crisis Dr. Light. Draw a card for each different color among cards you control. Draw a card for each different color among cards in play. First appearance attack. Each player reveals 4 cards from the top of the main deck. Add each villain revealed this way to the lineup and destroy the other cards revealed this way. Harvest. You may gain each hero in the lineup and put them into your hand. If you choose not to, +3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys a hero they control and in their hand. For each you cannot, gain a weakness. Simon. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Draw 2 of them. Put the rest back in any order. That's not bad. First appearance attack. Each player destroys 2 cards in their hand, then passes the other cards in their hand to the player on their left. So you lose all of them anyway. And I guess you can destroy the most useless ones and then give your other players the not so bad ones. Slade Wilson. At the start of each of your turns, you may discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. Stack ongoing. After a player shuffles their discard pile, if they have a personal crisis, they gain a weakness. Crisis Superboy Prime. +2 power. Gain a card from the destroyed pile. First appearance attack. Each player gets a personal crisis, then discards a card for each personal crisis they have. Terra. Ongoing. During each of your turns, you may destroy a card you played this turn or in your discard pile. First appearance attack. Each player destroys 2 cards they control. For each you cannot, gain a weakness. The Brain and Monsieur Mala. +3 power and draw a card. First appearance attack. Each player flips their superhero face down. When this villain is defeated, each player may gain a weakness. Each who does flips their superhero face up. So you're forced into getting that. Crisis Trigon. Unavoidable first appearance attack. Each player gets a personal crisis. Stack ongoing. Trigon costs 5 more to defeat for each personal crisis in play. Not just that you have, but in play. So he gets, you're playing with 2 people and they have 2 each, then that's 10, 20. Yeah, he gets almost impossible to beat. Crisis Troya? Crisis Troya? +4 power. First appearance attack. Each player gets a personal crisis, then destroys the top card of the main deck for each personal crisis they have. Next up, we have the personal crises. So that was, okay, so you had hidden objectives in number 3, the Forever Evil, then personal crises in Crisis 4. And do they have different backings? No, they don't. Okay. Depowered. It's interesting. Inflated Ego. Insecure. Oh, that's kind of sad the way the kind of flop. Malfunction. These are all terrible for them. Out of Control. Sudden Loss. Survivor's Guilt. Trial by Combat. Unappreciated. Unrequited Love. Villainous Lineage. Weakened Heart. Oh, that sucks. Oh, and then the randomizer card, which hadn't actually thought about, but of course you would need this. So that goes with the oversized card that is somewhere here. Then you have a couple promos, including Project Thaumation and Red X, the Impossible Mode villain for specifically Crisis 4. You may discard any number of ongoing cards you control. For each you do, gain a card from the lineup and put it into your hand. If you choose not to, +3 power. First appearance attack. Each player destroys a card they control. Each who does gains a top card of the main deck and a weakness. So it's like, is it worth it? It could be, but it also could not be. So it's your choice. Oh, there it is. So the previous multiverse box came with the oversized divider and the randomizer card for Crisis 3 already, so they didn't need to include it here. And as such, they didn't have it for Crisis 4, so that's why they did put it here. And these, I appreciate that you had these hidden objectives and that you also had personal crises, because that does help to differentiate the different sets that otherwise might begin to feel a little samey. As for playing these, I think I just absolutely love that you can play an entire Suicide Squad game of the DC deck building game as of now. It prior it was super hard to do because of how rare this set was, or these two sets were. I'm extremely grateful that they decided to re-release them in this package, because not only do you have better versions of these cards, being that they're foil, you get sets that were almost impossible to get for a, I don't know, almost like a tenth of the price. So this was probably like 40 or 30 or 40 compared to like 2 to 300, and that's me kind of lowballing it. I think it could have been even higher. If you can afford that, that's great, but most people probably can't. Well, guys, that's it for the DC deck building game Crisis Collection 2, featuring Crisis Expansion Pack 3 and Crisis Expansion Pack 4. Who was your favorite villain or superhero featured here? Which one can you not wait to see played or even play yourself? Did you also buy this? Or if you haven't, consider it. If you want to stay up to date on my videos and live streams on both YouTube and Twitch, check out the links in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, and consider joining. That's all for now, guys. Manjoume out.